At nearly 8,800 meters, Mount Everest promises glory, but it also hides a brutal truth. The higher you climb, the less your body understands how to survive. Hundreds have died chasing the summit. In recent years, Everest has been transformed into a deadly business, where ambition and money collide in the death zone. Why are so many risking everything? And what makes this the most disastrous kind of Everest climb possible? The answers begin long before a single step is taken. Long before Everest became a global stage for ambition and commerce, the mountain stood as an almost mythic frontier. In 1953, Edmund Hillary, a beekeeper from New Zealand, and Tenzing Norgay, a Sherpa from Nepal, reached the summit for the first time. Their achievement was the result of years of failed attempts, careful planning, and the combined knowledge of elite teams who treated Everest as an enigma to be solved, not a commodity to be bought. Early expeditions faced uncharted territory, unreliable weather, and no guarantee of return. Every step above 8,000 meters was a step into the unknown. Death was a constant companion. Before Hillary and Norgay's ascent, more than a dozen climbers had lost their lives, often to avalanches, exposure, or the simple failure of the human body at altitude. The mountain's reputation grew not just from the glory of standing on its peak, but from the price paid in lives along the way. There were no guided packages, no fixed ropes stretching from base camp to summit, and no crowds waiting in line. Each attempt was a test of endurance, judgment, and luck. The legend of Everest was built on the backs of those who gambled everything against the elements, with only a handful ever reaching the top. The summit belonged to the few who could survive its demands, and the cost of failure was written in the ice and stone that still holds the memories of those early pioneers. Above 8,000 meters, the rules of human survival change. The air thins until every breath delivers just 1/3 of the oxygen found at sea level. At this altitude, the body's systems begin to fail in ways that no amount of training can prevent. Heart rates soar to 140 beats per minute, even at rest. Muscles lose strength with every hour. Sleep becomes shallow, digestion stalls, and the mind starts to slip. The so-called death zone earns its name not just from the cold, but from the invisible assault of hypoxia. Cells starve for oxygen, and the brain swells, a condition called high-altitude cerebral edema. Confusion sets in, speech slurs, balance vanishes, and the urge to keep climbing can override all judgment. In the lungs, fluid leaks into the air sacs, causing high-altitude pulmonary edema. Breathing becomes a wet, desperate struggle. Climbers describe the sensation as being drunk, but every misstep can mean a fatal fall. No acclimatization is possible above this altitude. The body can only survive for hours, not days. Even with supplemental oxygen, the margin is razor thin. Cylinders run dry faster than expected, regulators freeze, and a single malfunction can mean the difference between life and death. There are no plants or animals here, only the relentless pressure of time and altitude. Above 8,000 meters, survival is measured in minutes, and every decision is made with a mind and body already in decline. A single permit to climb Everest costs $11,000. That fee goes straight to the Nepalese government, feeding an industry that now brings in tens of millions of dollars each year. But the real business starts with the guiding companies. Western operators often charge clients between $35,000 and $160,000 for a place on their team. Nepali firms, facing stiff competition, offer lower rates, sometimes less than half the price, by streamlining logistics and staffing. Each climber's payment covers not just their own journey, but the wages of guides, Sherpas, cooks, and the cost of oxygen, tents, and food. For every climber, there is often a 1-to-1 Sherpa ratio on summit day, and a team of support staff that outnumbers the clients themselves. Profit margins are tight, usually just 10 to 20% after expenses. To make the numbers work, operators rely on volume. The more climbers they push towards the summit, the more sustainable their business becomes. Sherpas, who carry loads, fix ropes, and guide clients through the most dangerous stretches, earn a base wage of around $5,000 per season. But there is a powerful incentive built in: a summit bonus, typically $1,500, paid only if their client reaches the top. For many, this bonus equals a year's income at home. Competition between operators drives costs down and numbers up. Some companies cut corners, hiring less experienced guides or stretching resources thin. Screening for experience varies widely. Premium outfits require clients to have climbed other high peaks, but budget operators may accept almost anyone who can pay. As a result, more climbers, many with limited mountaineering background, find themselves in high camps waiting for their chance at the summit. The mountain, once reserved for the prepared and the lucky, is now crowded with ambition and guided by profit. At 8,700 meters, progress grinds to a halt. A single fixed rope dangles from the rock, and dozens of climbers clip in, forming a line that stretches down the ridge. Each person waits in the freezing wind, oxygen masks hissing, boots scraping at the ice for hours on end. The Hillary Step, once a technical rock obstacle, has become a human bottleneck, sometimes trapping more than 200 people in a queue above the death zone. Inside these lines, the clock is always ticking. The body burns through its last reserves. Oxygen cylinders empty faster than planned. Frostbite creeps into fingers and toes. Some climbers stare ahead, willing the line to move, while others glance at their gauges, calculating how long they have before the margin runs out. The weather window that brought so many to the mountain can close in an instant. A sudden gust or a drop in the temperature can turn a delay into disaster. There is no room to turn around, no space to pass. The only way forward is to wait, and every minute spent above 8,000 meters brings the body closer to collapse. In these moments, the decisions are brutal. Some climbers debate whether to help a struggling stranger, knowing that stopping could cost them their own lives. Others press on, eyes fixed on the summit, hoping that the line will hold and the weather will last. The mountain offers no guidance, only the relentless pressure of time, altitude, and the choices that must be made when every second counts. On May 15th, 2006, David Sharp reached the summit of Everest alone. Hours later, he sat slumped in a small rocky alcove at 8,100 meters, boots half buried in snow, his face pale beneath a thin layer of frost. His oxygen was nearly gone, and the cold had begun to claim his hands and feet. Climbers passing by found him confused, unable to stand, his words barely making sense. Some offered him water, a jacket, even a spare oxygen mask, but Sharp could not move. Radio calls crackled down the mountain. There was a man in trouble, but the death zone offered no easy rescue. Dozens filed past, each calculating their own chances of survival. In his diary, Sharp had written about the dream of standing on the world's highest point. Now that dream was unraveling in the thin air as exhaustion and hypoxia stripped away the last of his strength. By morning, he was gone. Another life claimed by the summit's silent bargain. Most climbers who die on Everest make it past the summit. It is the way down that kills them. More than half of all fatalities happen during the descent, when exhaustion, hypoxia, and empty oxygen bottles catch up with bodies pushed far past their limits. Guides and doctors warn that the summit is only halfway. The real danger begins as energy and judgment collapse. Ataxia from brain swelling and fluid-filled lungs turn every step into a gamble. In the last 30 years, glacier instability has surged by 30%. Warming temperatures trigger more avalanches and icefall collapses, making descent routes even more unpredictable. Some experts call for stricter permit rules, mandatory experience, and real-time medical monitoring on the mountain. Policymakers debate caps on climber numbers, but the lure of Everest and the profits keep crowds coming. The mountain is changing faster than the rules, and every season the risks grow. For those who descend, survival is never guaranteed. Today, Everest draws more climbers than ever, but the margin for error remains razor thin above 8,000 meters. As permits rise and experience declines, risk grows, not just for individuals, but for everyone on the mountain. Ambition is timeless. But nature never negotiates. Ask yourself this: is the summit worth the cost?